In this section, I'll show you how to back up to multiple PCs using a single Restic repository. This is especially useful when you're backing up over a network or to the cloud. In fact, for this demonstration, I'll be storing my backup on my NAS, essentially creating my own personal cloud backup. The first thing we need to do is go ahead and create the backup repository. And I have my NAS network share here, labeled net backup. I'll just go ahead and open the terminal and create the repository. And the backup is created. I'll be backing up 2 machines, one for personal use and one for work. Passwords will be the same for both, and I've stored those passwords in the Restic password environment variable. For the first machine, let's pretend that it's my personal machine that I use for media. Now I'll back up all my media files. Let's go ahead and clear the screen, and let's set up our backup. And I just realized naming the backup will be a little ridiculous, as we'll have to do Restic -r backup. So let me go ahead and just change the name of this to be a little bit better. Let's just call it snapshots. And yes, you can easily change the name of your Restic backups like this. Let's go ahead and change that, and we'll do Restic -r snapshots in the command backup. And now list my folders. Alright, so I've got music, pictures, and videos. The next thing I'm going to do is set the host using the host flag. And I'll set the host to personal. This is in case, should I decide to move this backup to a different machine, the host name will remain the same. Otherwise, it will use your computer's name, which could be something like this. And I don't want that. So to keep things consistent, I'll keep the host set to personal. And I'm going to set the tag as media. So we're going to tell Restic to back up onto our snapshots repository on our network, these 3 folders, and set the host to personal, and set a tag on the snapshot to media. Let's go ahead and run this. Let's now go ahead and run snapshots on the snapshots repository, and it looks like I ran into the same problem I tried to avoid with the backup command, but whatever. And we've got our first snapshot with the tag media. Let's go over to our second machine and back that up. But before I do that, let's bring back the command that we just used. I'm going to go ahead and copy this entire command, because we're going to use this to create a script. And I'll go ahead and create a PowerShell script, actually. Just right click, and I'll call this backup PS1. We'll just go ahead and copy the command. We'll go ahead and make sure we set the path to the repository absolute. And at the end of the script, I'm going to do a pause so I can see what happened with the backup instead of the window just closing out. So we'll save that, close that, and if you right click and run this, go ahead and does the backup. And if I do snapshots again, we now see that script worked successfully. Let's move on over to the second machine. For the second machine, I'll go ahead and pretend that it's my work machine, and I've got this folder in my documents called spreadsheets, and I want to back up everything in this folder. This computer doesn't have access to my network share on a letter path, and I want to make it a letter path, so I'll go ahead and map that share. Alright, I've mapped the drive labeled Z. I'll just open the terminal here. And let's back up the documents. We'll do Restic. And we'll back up these spreadsheets. And I'll set the host to work. And for this particular snapshot, I'll give it the tag spreadsheets. We'll back this up. And I accidentally used the uppercase for host. It needs to be lowercase. And that's done. went ahead and added these new 5 files. If I do snapshots on snapshots, you can see here my 2 snapshots for my personal machine and 1 for my work. And just like with the other command on the other system, we can go ahead and create a script such as this one, so that we can easily run it whenever we need to. And for some reason, this is one of the open in PowerShell or Notepad. Let's open it with Notepad++. And with that, if we come in here and drag that file over to PowerShell and run it, it works successfully. And running snapshots, we now have 2 snapshots for our work. We just wanted to see work. We could filter by host. And we just have our work snapshots. And now that we have scripts like this, we could go ahead and create a task to automate the backup. We go to Task Scheduler and say create a basic task. We could just call it backup. And I'll have it start when I log in immediately. That's not very practical, but for the sake of this tutorial, let's just set it at login. And then for the trigger, again, log on. And then for the condition, we want to run PowerShell 7. So we'll do PowerShell and tell it to run this file. Now right click on Notepad++ and say copy to clipboard the full path. Then I could say file, copy that path. We're going to tell PowerShell to run this script and hit OK. Let's go ahead and close this and let's test it out. It did it. So now whenever you log into the system or whenever the time comes to run the backup, you'll have a consistent script that automatically backs up all the data for you. Like in previous sections, using tags and filtering snapshots by host makes it very easy to manage a single repository in which multiple PCs are being backed up to. In the next section, I'll show you some quick utility commands to better administrate your Restic backups.